It's time to have a one-sided conversation about Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. So, all right, I should preface, and I will preface this whole thing by explaining that I am in a complicated situation with this figure. So, my figure's defective. It arrived defective out of the box. It's just a really unfortunate QC problem that, as far as I know, is only affecting mine. So I don't think it's anything anyone has to be super careful about. But it does kind of dampen the enjoyment a fair bit, and we'll see it when we get to the robot mode. But thing is, I ordered this online and I got in touch with the seller. I bought this from BBTS, and they were very good about it. I told them what happened, showed them pictures, and they were just like, "That's fine. Here's your money back in store credits. Order yourself another one or order something else. You know, we're good." I didn't have to send the figure back or anything like that. So BBTS customer service was fantastic. What sucks is this guy is sold out on BBTS. So I can't get a replacement, at least not yet. So for now, I'm stuck with a, I don't want to say broken, but I'm stuck with a Studio Series 86B that is not truly indicative of what the figure is fully like. But there's enough here that I feel confident in being able to make a video on it. So I'm doing that now, and I'll explain what'll be different once we get to the robot mode. But I figured I'm going to make a video because he's a pretty new figure. He's just a little guy, and I do like him. It just stinks that he's got this pretty significant QC problem with robot mode. And yeah, so we're just going to get into it after that little description. You can also kind of see that he's not holding together entirely correctly, and I honestly don't know if that's because of me doing something wrong or if it's got something to do with like a misassembly or something being configured incorrectly. Like, I just don't know. Sometimes I feel like things are just slightly misaligned and I get them back in place and everything's fine. Other times I feel like it just does not want to stay in place. So I don't know, but that's fine. It's not like a deal breaker thing for me. Also, there is this little gap here. I think that also may have been something that was slightly warped in the factory, because you notice this side is fine. That separation there is there in robot mode too. It doesn't have anything to do with the transformation. I think that piece just got warped slightly during the assembly somehow. But yeah, other than the stuff I will be talking about and the stuff I've already mentioned, he is a cute little penny racer adjacent looking car. Bring in my G1 Bumblebee for a quick side-by-side. We'll see him again later, but you can see, like, stylistically, this is not supposed to be this car, but it's a very similar style. There are a lot of design elements that are shared between them. There are definitely some differences, but I think more than anything, it's the fact that they tried to do the kind of squat and taller, like, they just made it look like this kind of super deformed Hawaii style, whatever you want to call it, the penny racer look. They gave Studio Series 86B's car mode the penny racer look, and I think that's cool. There's also a fair bit of paint around this thing too. There's this black going around the bumper on the rear and front bumpers. There's the silver on the rims, the silver on the rims, and the wheels are all pinned in, so he rolls exceptionally well, even with his not holding together entirely right, which could be my fault or could be an assembly thing, I don't know, but he rolls real well. I got the two Autobot logos, which I'm not super big on having the two Autobot logos, but it's also like, what could they do, you know? It would be wrong to not have it on the hood here, but it would also be wrong to not have it on what will become the robot mode chest, so they're kind of stuck. But I do really appreciate, too, that they did the tail lights, they did the lights in the front, and the windows on parts of it are painted. Some of it is yellow plastic that has been painted black, and some of it is, I believe, black plastic that's been painted yellow. Like this, the front windows here going around here, like I believe that's black plastic that's been painted yellow because you can see the difference in yellow color on the sides here. But then back here, I'm pretty sure this is black paint. So that's how they approached that. You can see a little bit of a difference too here. It's harder to see on camera, but right here, this little piece right here is a slightly different. This is more of like a Velveeta cheese shade of of yellowish orange. That's probably like the plastic that they use for more malleable pieces or more sensitive pieces, I guess. Pieces you want to be nice and durable for transformation. So yeah, he's pretty well painted. There is this gouge on the window here. I don't know if I did that or if it came like that. I didn't notice it when I first took him out of the box, but I can't imagine how I could have possibly transformed him to put that scratch there. So I think this figure might have just been kind of doomed from the start while still in the box. Other than all of that, there is the robot jammed up in there, and you have his gun just pegged onto the back, and I'm not super fond of how they handled this. Not because it's pegged to the back, that's whatever, it's common for figures these days, but the fact that they painted the peg that goes in there. So I just feel like that does risk some paint scratching in the future if you do it too much, because you can see the gun is this black plastic, so yeah, I don't really like that they did that, but there is the alternative option that I saw in a couple of different videos where you can either open up the hatch or pull out the fists or whatever, and you can just kind of put the gun back there and close everything up again, and it will actually close. It rattles around a little bit, but it closes the gun in there, keeps it out of the way, keeps it hidden, and you don't have to worry about it coming out or, you know, the paint scratching off because it's plugged in back there. So that is how you can store the gun. Now, let's move on to size comparisons. Let's tilt this back and zoom out a bit more. And bring in our typical comparisons. So we've got Dinobot and Ova Prime, our stand-in for a tall deluxe, and Samus. So there they all are together. I suppose I should raise this up a little bit more so you can actually see Dinobot's head. There we go. So there they are. Get all these out of here. Bring back G1B. You can tell it's G1 because he is this. But yeah, here he is with his G1 counterpart. And I was going to make a joke about Studio Series figures being so small these days, but look at this. But it's not even like this was not a deluxe back in the day, so I don't know. But I also don't really care about the size difference. So there they are. I should also actually bring in an actual deluxe because that is kind of important. So before I completely forget, here is 86B with Burnout. And yeah, he's small. Yes, he's small. But as was the case with a lot of small deluxes, he is small, but he is mighty. And just because to have him off to the side, because this is, spoilers, I guess, going to be the next video. Here he is with 86 Brawn. And Brawn is a bit bigger, a bit beefier, but he's also Brawn. And finally, here is, zoom out a little bit more, here is 86 Bumblebee with the duck tank. Now, before we do that transformation that you've probably seen at least a few times by now, but I'm going to do it anyway, if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done on the channel and you would like to support me, I do have a Patreon or a Ko-fi, links to both at the end of the video or down in the description. Otherwise, you could always do the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe, that kind of stuff. So, to transform him, we are going to first dump the gun, because you don't really want that rattling around in there while we're doing this, and let's just go off to the side for now. Now, Going to pop this back section off. It's really easy to just pull here. It kind of tabs in up here, like these kind of sit in there and then these kind of tab in there, but it's not like a super secure connection, but just kind of pull that out. While we're doing that, we'll do the legs actually, that makes the most sense. So just kind of pull out and down a little bit because these sort of set in here, they don't really tab. Kind of wish they did, but whatever. But kind of accordion these out a little bit. And then it's easiest, I think, to split the legs because they're going to split anyway. And rotate this all the way around and straighten out the knee because the knee actually bends forward for the sake of the transformation. Now, something I want to mention, rotating this around, there is actually a kind of pseudo locking point. When you push it forward, you kind of feel it thunk into place when you get here and it kind of lines up. The reason why I point that out is because since this piece is warped, this doesn't do that. This side, it kind of like there's like this little itty bitty nubbin right on the end there that kind of sits behind this piece, and that helps to lock this together. And on this piece, it just doesn't work because of the warping on this. And you can kind of see here how it's a little bit like it's supposed to sit like that, but it's like that. So because of that, this doesn't lock in like it does on this side. Because here, when everything's put together, it's a little bit easier to bend the knee without moving the foot, and here it just doesn't. But anyway, with that done, going to, we'll unclip this, or untab rather. There's like a little tab right back, right there, that goes into this little hole back there. So untab this, swing it forward, and this does not lock in place, just kind of like it's friction. It doesn't tab in, even though there is a little nub there, but it sits. It does what it needs to. Okay, now to finish off the feet, I'm going to flip out this little piece here, flip down this panel from the inside here, and then rotate this in, and then bring this in, and this will tab into here. And I find the best way to do it without pushing this back in is to just use a finger to brace this piece and just bring it in, tap it in. And that actually, I thought this was going to be annoying. It's completely fine. As long as you hold that one, this piece in place, it's not a problem. So again, hold that out, hold that out, swing this in, and just hold that down, push that in, and it's fine. You do not have to worry about this getting all knocked around. So I appreciate that. That is the lower body. Now, for the rest of them, I'm going to untab the arms. The forearms are actually tabbed together. So untab those, swing these pieces out, and then swing these around 180 degrees so that the wheels are now facing back. And then you want to swing these back in. And when you swing these in, there's this little channel here that this tab on the wheel well will go into. So I get this out of the way. Try and zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Swing this in, you'll see that tab go into that channel. Go in. There we go. It goes into the channel, and that keeps this whole piece from being able to fold back into the body. And I appreciate that very much. So that is torso done. Get the arms, just straighten them out and unbend the elbow. You don't even really transform the arms. And then for the head and rest of the body here, you want to unplug. Oh, now that I'm seeing this, it looks like this is yellow plastic, and then this is black plastic that's kind of going around the yellow plastic for the roof. That's interesting. Anyway, this untabs, and it goes in really securely, but this untabs and folds down, and then you've got his head. And I find the easiest way to get the head out is to just use this armature, and that just leverages it out slightly. and makes it a lot easier to bring up the rest of the way. So just pull that down, and this will kind of click down into place. This piece swings down, and it's actually really easy to get in place as long as you push this armature down all the way, because this is not all the way. You want to push it down, and it will kind of click. So push this down all the way, and then you just rotate this back and start lowering it, and there'll be just enough space, just enough when you angle it this way for these little nubs to get past this piece here and sit right in there. And that keeps this all together. The thing is, it's really easy to kind of push this in and up and out of place too, but that's a good way to get this all situated. And you just fold the head back the rest of the way, fold the chest in to peg it closed, and that's it. There we have Studio Series 86 Bumblebee in his big boy robot mode, and this is a very cool figure that I really wish didn't have the QC problem it has. The scuff on the window is unfortunate. I feel like I could probably fix that myself. This I don't like, but it's not a terrible problem. The problem I have is the head is fused. It is fused in place. This head is completely fused. I think what happened is, if you notice, there's no screw back here. So I'm pretty sure this head is glued together. I think what must have happened is when they put the head on and glued it together, some of that glue got into the actual neck joint. Kind of like what happened with Siege flywheels and the hips way back when, where they just used too much glue and it fused the joint. So yeah, that head does not turn. I tried putting shock oil in there to see if maybe it was just really, really tight. Did absolutely nothing. And yeah, there's just, that head is not turning. Any motion that I get out of this is me twisting the stem of the ball joint that goes up and into the head. So yeah, he can't move his head. That really sucks. Because other than that, this figure is really cool. Under these lights, it is pretty obvious that you've got different plastics here. It's not showing up on camera that well. I don't know if it will in post either, but like the forearms, the waist, and these little shoulder attachment pieces up here are all that, like, and also the armature that the back and the neck plank are attached to. All of those are that Velveeta cheese color, whereas the feet and chest and back and head and the wheel wells that you can kind of see peeking up there, that's all a more regular Bumblebee yellow color. So it stands out a little bit, but it's spread out enough that it doesn't bother me too much. And it's noticeable under these lights, but it's not something that's super noticeable in normal lighting, so it's fine. It's not discoloration, it's just that's what the plastic is. It's a slightly different color. But yeah, he is still really cool. Pretty darn clean. No parts forming for everyone that was so bothered by that. Yeah, it is a very cool figure that I just wish didn't have QC problems. I do think he looks really neat, though. The proportions for Bumblebee are nice. He's got the big VW front boat feet. Because of the way all of this works, his ankle tilts are really high, and he does have ankle tilts. We'll see that more in the articulation, but yeah, they're a little high, but it's still manageable. And yeah, I don't know, he's a neat little guy. There's some decent molding on the parts that are revealed, like the legs, the arms, forearms, fists, that kind of thing. And you even get, which is kind of cool, these little panels on the on the insides of the wheel wells that end up filling in the torso. You've got extra molded detail there that kind of hides the wheel wells a little bit. And that's completely unnecessary, but it's cool that they did it. And that is a separate piece of plastic. This is not the wheel well plastic that's been painted, and the wheel well plastic is not black that's been painted yellow. This is like a separate piece of plastic they attached to the wheel well just so that it would give more side detail for the robot mode. That's that's kind of unnecessary, but like, you know, think about it. This guy is a deluxe. He's a small deluxe, yes, but he does things like this, where they use plastic separation to do the different colors in a lot of different places rather than doing like an awkward paint job. So like they put a lot of thought and effort into the design of this guy. That is very cool. I will say it is a little bit disappointing that the only new paint that is revealed in the robot mode is the face. Everything else is just what was already visible in the car. But at the same time, if you really think about it, it's like, what else would they paint? Like I could, yes, you could argue that there are a couple of little details here and there, like maybe in the forearms or the waist section or whatever, that maybe could have benefited from a little bit of paint to separate things out a little bit more. But like, this is Bumblebee. He's not a super complex in terms of color breakup robot mode. So I feel like it makes sense for them to have put most of the paint budget into the vehicle mode, because that's kind of what benefits from it the most. Because I feel like all he really needs for the robot mode for paint is the bumper. Because even G1 Bumblebee had the the G1 toy had the black bumper for the toes, and he has that. So there you go. Yeah, he is cool, and I really wish his head wasn't busted. I may go in there with like a spudger. Not going to do it right now, or like a screwdriver or something. Try to pry that head open to see if I like crack it open, maybe I can get things moving again. Because I do plan on getting a replacement for this guy when one is available, because I don't like having one that can't move his head. But yeah, for now, this is what I'm stuck with. But anyway, let's take a look at that head. And it is a nice head. That is a very Bumblebee-looking face. It's a pretty blank expression, but it's fine. One thing that is a little disappointing is the yellow plastic doesn't let a lot of the finer details that are molded into the head show. Granted, there's not much. You can see the horns because of the silhouette, but there is some detail in like the little head crest and where it kind of separates out that is a little bit mushy looking because of the color of the yellow. But that's a really, really minor complaint. And again, like, the expression's kind of blank, but the coloration is really nice. The silver and the light blue for the silver for the face, light blue for the eyes does pop very nicely with that yellow. I appreciate that a lot. And it's Bumblebee. It's Bumblebee's head. And it even looks pretty decent from the side and around back. It's just that I can't move it. Because, articulation, I just... this head, like, it looks like it's moving, but seriously, either this is as far as it moves or I'm twisting that joint. It's not moving. So I can't really show off the neck articulation or head articulation because of my figure being busted. But I'm pretty sure it's on a ball joint, so it should be able to tilt left and right slightly, look up and down slightly, and rotate 360 degrees. It just can't on mine. And if you wanted to, you could use this joint to angle the head down. Shoulders are ball jointed, which you can use for a little bit of a butterfly motion, which is actually a decent amount of butterfly, which is cool. And they can go out to 90, they can go all the way around. You've got bicep rotation, an elbow that can straighten out or bend to 90. It kind of stops here, and because of the transformation, it actually clicks in place when you go to 90. So this is as far as you get before you click it. But I think that's close enough to 90 that it's not a big deal. And you do also get wrist rotation, which, again, reminder, he is a deluxe. So like, they put a lot of effort into the budget of this guy. He's just small. You get a waist rotation that does actually go all the way around, even with this piece in the way. The only thing is, if this is pushed down, like this is pushed in like this, then rotating this will push it back out. But like, it doesn't force this out or anything like that. So you can freely rotate the waist without that getting in the way, which is awesome. The legs can kick forward to just slightly under 90, can kick back to slightly under 90. They can go out. You've got thigh rotation. You have a knee bend, which goes to 90. And then if you want to, you can also angle the toe a little bit to kind of give the illusion of knee bend. But it's not really that effective, but you get the knee. And then you get the ankle tilt that I mentioned, and the ankle tilt goes to pretty far. So it's not all the way out, but that is pretty decent for ankle articulation. So yeah, nice articulation on this little guy. And yes, again, I admit he's little, but he is cool, and there's a lot, like, he's little because scale. He's not little because budgetary constraints. I think that is a very important difference. Now, for the gun, if you want to, you can just peg the gun into the back where it's stored for vehicle mode. You can just leave it back there. But you can also put it in his hand because, of course, and that just pegs in there, and there you go. And this is, I don't think we actually got a good look at the gun, so I should zoom in on that. So yeah, gun looks good. There's a lot of little molded details on it. I don't recall off the top of my head how accurate this is for a G1 Bumblebee gun, but I think it looks pretty decent for what it is. And blast effect compatibility, it is there. You just plonk that on over the tip of the barrel, and there you go. But because this is painted, you do not want to leave the blast effects on because paint will stick to the blast effect part, and then when you take the part off, it's going to strip the paint. So you can do that, but don't leave it like that for display. And this is something that I think we all know, but just in case anyone watching this is unfamiliar, I feel it's important to point that out because I would hate for someone to find out the hard way that the blast effects don't really get along well with paint over the long term. And this is normally where I'd angle him so that he's like, looking to the side slightly when we do size comparisons, but I can't do that with this figure. So instead, we're just going to leave him like this and put him off to the side for the last of our size comparisons. So here is Dinobot and over Prime. Bring in Burnout and Samus. So there they all are. And let's get Dinobot and Over Prime out of here. And we'll move Burnout for a second. But yeah, Bumblebee is slightly taller than the Samus amiibo. So yes, I've said this before, I acknowledge he is small. But I think given everything that's going on with him, that's okay. So like here he is with Burnout, and she is pretty standard modern deluxe height these days. So yeah, he's a little guy. Let's get Burnout out of the way here and bring in another little guy. Here he is with Legacy Animated Bumblebee, and they're just about the same height. Animated Bee is a tiny bit taller, a very tiny bit taller. Like it's like practically imperceptible, but he is just a little bit taller. And this is still a fantastic figure, by the way. I will happily make camp on that hill. Small or not, I don't care. Legacy Animated Bee is very cool. So there is the bigger bee, the Reactivate Bumblebee, which is a much bigger figure than I was expecting when I first got him. He is actually more on like the tall side for a deluxe. For anyone who doesn't remember or didn't see that video, he is roughly a head taller than a modern deluxe, or than the average modern deluxe, I should say. So yeah, Reactivate B is a bit of a tall guy. So of course he's going to be bigger than the Studio Series 86 version. And as we looked at him before, here is G1 Bumblebee Still smaller, but it's G1 Bumblebee, so of course he is. Also, it's warm enough in here that the rope sign is sort of showing itself. Thank goodness for my desk fan. And finally, here is Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. Zoom out a little bit more. There we go. Here he is with the duck tank. And that does it. Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. I've kind of said everything I need to about this guy. He is small, yes, undeniably so, but there's more to him than the average deluxe because he's so small. Like I said before, he's not small because of budgetary constraints. He's small because of scale. The amount of engineering and plastic separation, not just color separation, but plastic separation going on with this guy is like, it's more than what's going on with Burnout here. And Burnout is significantly larger than Bumblebee. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like, it's fine if you're disappointed that he's small, but just try and keep reasonable expectations about this kind of stuff. I feel like we as a fandom still tend to get way too hung up on size versus price, and it's just, in my mind at least, it's about as useless as the how long it takes to beat a video game making any real significance in terms of price. This is like, just enjoy it. If you enjoy it, then it's worth the price. A lot of stuff, it may only take 5 hours to beat, but you have reasons to go back and replay it. Or you just want to replay it because you want to experience it again. It's just, yeah. I'm not going on that rant right now. I've got an entirely separate video series for rants like that. I need to remember to actually do more of those. Anyway, that has been it for Bumblebee. I really wish his head wasn't busted, because the scuff on the window and the little foot thing are the only problems I have with this guy, and they're all QC related, so it's not the figure's fault. It's just how he came out of the factory. So I feel like if I could get one that doesn't have these problems, it would be perfect. Not the perfect figure, but like it'd be perfect for me, for what I wanted, for what I expected. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting this guy, I feel like he's worth it. Hopefully this video helps with that decision. Also, this actually kind of hit, like, my particular problem with the head is an argument for the windowless packaging, which is a whole other rant that I can do a video on, because I'm on the opposite side of the argument, where a lot of people are like saying, bring back the windows, and I'm like, no, don't. It's ridiculous. It's fine. But like, not having a window means if you find this guy in the store, you can just give the head a little turn and see if it works. So yeah, point for the windowless packaging. Anyway, that is it for what I have to say about Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. What do you all think of this guy? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching. And as I already said earlier in the video, we're going to be looking at Studio Series 86 Brawn next. And I'm going to start recording that as soon as I stop recording this.